on the STEP committee. So STEP is an ecological conservation group. You've probably heard of STEP. But in that time, I have become quite impressed with John's work. So the STEP runs two types of walks, an introductory walk, and a longer walk, maybe 5 hours or so, usually in other parts of Sydney. For example, we have been to Tomlore Canyon, south of Picton, and Strickland Forest is another one. The others are listed in your brochure, that brochure. Now, John usually runs these, he leads these longer walks. And I can tell you they are all good, all worth doing. Okay, John has published. He's a cartographer, and he has published large-scale maps, 1 to 10,000, of the Lane Cove Valley. Wow. I don't know whether Isolde has any maps for sale. No. Is Janine going to correct me? No. Yes, well, I've got your books over there, which I'll refer to. So that's walking tracks of Middle Harbour Valley. So there are two. There's Middle Valley Harbour, north and south, and Lane Cove Valley. They're worth having if you plan to walk any of those areas. Okay, so he has written many books. One is the Field Guide to the Lane Cove Valley, which I saw on the table out there for sale, which we also have. Janine, if you'd like to show that book, Field Guide. I've got it over here. I brought a sample.
I carried them.
Yes, Ross carried them, and I can tell you, together they're heavy. So we have the most, I have brought the most recent geology and flora of the Sydney region. It's a big one. It's worth every penny. The photography was great. The scholarship is fantastic, of course. And then John's has some recent interests. The one that I know about is Ku-ring-gai georegion, with Ku-ring-gai Chase at its center. It involves 3 local government areas, Ku-ring-gai, Northern Beaches, and Hornsby. There are over 50 significant geological environments of the Triassic sandstone landscapes of the Sydney Basin. And that one is coordinated through FOLK, and you probably know FOLK, Friends of Ku-ring-gai Environment. Probably lots of you here are FOLK. And it is also informed by the Linnaean Society, which was where I first heard about it. So it's well recommended. That is those are my words for John.
So John,
No, does it work? Can you hear me?
yeah,
It's good, is it?
It's not picking up.
No.
it's not holding you down.
Sorry?
That's better. That's better.
I'm trying to speak through this.
Oh, that's a different
No?
microphone.
I think you need to pick up.
That's fine. I'll use both. I'll be in stereo. That's the title of my talk, and it's actually what came about travelling around or compiling this book. This book costs $80, which sounds like a lot of money. It's exactly $30.76 a kilo. It weighs 2.6 kilos. And I'm going to go through some of the stuff. I mean, it just hasn't just been compiling that book but it goes back a long way to, you know, family holidays on the south coast, etc., etc., bushwalks in the Blue Mountains, going up to the Hunter Valley for what you normally go to the Hunter Valley for, and I'm sorry. Oh, I've got it. So let's get the show on the road. Helps to turn this thing on, actually. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Okay, Sydney Basin. Sydney Basin means different things to different people. To a geologist, it's a huge area. For any ponds or ex-ponds here, it's roughly twice the size of Wales. It goes from Bateman's Bay or Durras in the south, way up to the Goulburn River and right down the Hunter Valley and right down the coast, and includes the Blue Mountains and all points in between. Another concept of the Sydney Basin, of course, is this lowland area between the Blue Mountains and the coast, but we're talking about the big picture here. I'm going to talk on the various, some quite nasty things have happened climate-wise over the last 5 to 7 years. And this was initially triggered, the fires were initially triggered by the fact that we had the worst recorded drought in New South Wales history. This was 2019. And I've got this picture taken up in Goulburn River, and you can see that all the trees look really stark. The eucalypts have suffered particularly, which is a real surprise, and you can see the black cypress pines, whoops, these trees standing tall, and they don't like fire very much, but they go through a drought really well. But the real surprise to me, and this was November 2020, was the way the trees were recovering. Now, there hasn't been a fire through this patch, but you can see all the epicormic growth on the trees sprouting from the limbs. But the big picture was the Black Summer fires. This is a picture from Rural Fire Service, actually. And I'm going to talk about two fires, particularly the Gospers Mountain fire and also the Currawong fire, which is down between Nowra and Bateman's Bay and inland from that. Where the hell is Gospers Mountain? Gospers Mountain sits west of the Putty Road. It's quite an isolated peak. It's one of those basalt caps like Mount Toma, Mount Hay, Mount Banks. And this is the kind of terrain that it is. So once fire gets going in that sort of terrain, it's very hard to control. This is from the ABC website, by the way. I should say that national disaster type situations, the ABC is the prime source of information that's spread around the country. This is from the ABC website. Here's the fire again. Absolutely awesome, quite terrifying. And of course the damage to property is extreme. I threw this one in too. This is from the SBS website, and it's almost a prize-winning photo, not with the resolution that you see on the screen, but that's looking south to the Greenwater Creek fire, which is the country surrounding Lake Burgerang, and it was taken looking south pre-dawn, just immediately pre-dawn. It's rather beautiful, actually, and you know with the obvious iconic rock formation on the left. The other fire I'm going to look at is the Currawong fire. That started just northwest of Bateman's Bay in Currawong State Forest and spread north. This is really intriguing because we normally think of cool southerlies, and when you've got a fire situation and the humidity is low, it almost doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing from, and this fire just marched north. Olavella's around about there, Jervis Bay in there, Nowra in there. It's covering a huge area. And some pictures, ABC website again. But these pictures were taken by my neighbour, and he drove the Nowra-Nerriga road quite regularly at the time, and you can see the absolute devastation. But this picture is rather interesting in a way because it's from the road verge, and you can see that there's little patches of green emerging, and that's because of the washing. You know, a fairly modest shower will wash off the road and soak us. When you look further back, there's hardly anything growing. This was taken in May 2021. Quite considerable regrowth, but you can see that the epicormic growth from the trunks. It's got a long way to go yet, but it's quite lush. After the fires came the rain. We had the La Nina, and then we had another La Nina, and we had rain, and more rain, and floods, of course. Now, Isolde and I were up in the Blue Mountains for 5 days in February 2020, and it bucketed down. The Mount Boyce weather station recorded 500 millimetres in that week. That's half a metre of rain. And water was cascading off cliffs, if you could see them. And you know, you're standing there with a camera and you can't see anything but fog, and then suddenly the fog clears, and momentarily you snap a few shots, and then it goes, and then it disappears again. This is Bridal Veil Falls at Governor's Leap, and it's absolutely pouring cascade. On the final day of the rain, the cloud cleared briefly. When I took that photo, a couple of minutes later, it was completely blanketed in fog again. This is March 2021. This is winter here. Everything low-lying, completely underwater. The Windsor Bridge is right there, but it's completely swamped. Now, let's look at, you know, we hear a lot about property damage and even loss and inconvenience in floods. Let's look at the bushland. This is Yarramundi Crossing, and this was taken in 2008 in the really strong, healthy growth of swamp oaks and other vegetations. This picture was taken in July 2022 after the third or fourth major flood in one of the rainy periods, and absolutely devastating. Most of the she oaks were just tipped over, wrenched out of the ground, snapped off, and generally lost. I thought that was rather nice, summing up bushfire danger period. Literally, you couldn't walk on any of these surfaces without slipping and sliding around. This was, this has obviously been underwater. That's what the bank looked like. And in August, when we visited recently, there has been some regrowth, but you've almost got two-tiered vegetation there with the more mature trees in the background and the resprouting in the foreground. That was the situation in August, and you can see it's nothing like the first picture. I could go back to the first picture, but I think you've still got it in your minds. But this is an interesting thing, and I've noticed this all along the Nepean or Dirubin, and this is flowering of Acacia binervia, and we'll see some more of that later on. This is not anything to do with flood or recovery, this is above the flood level. Right, Norton's Basin, which is where, not far from where the Nepean joins the Warragamba. This was the picture in 2015. Likewise, looking downstream from there, healthy. This was October 2022. And again, the section downstream. Absolute sheer devastation. Debris, rubbish washed down. And I'm showing you this one because there's sort of what looks like recovery on the right-hand bank there. It's a plant called Acinagunda. It's box elder, in other words. It's not generally recognised as a weed, but it's the weed of the future. It's the campylon of the future, and there are saplings of box elder all forcing their way up there. Absolute devastation along the riverside. And there we have our coast mile, is called its common name, Acacia binerdia. Bushland recovery and changes, let's move on. Starting with the Gospers Mountain fire, Gospers Mountain there, and a couple of pictures I'm going to show you from here, which is Melong. It's along the Putty Road, and you could drive along the Putty Road. This was in November 2021. November 2020. There we are. Grass trees really bloom after fire, and this is Xanthorrhea fulva. It's a grass tree. You can't really call it a tree. It's got an underground trunk, and you can see them springing up and flowering. And that's not long after the fire. And you get these wonderful bridal veils of tea tree flowers, absolutely incredible. If you've got a tea tree, by the way, and it's looking tall and leggy and scraggy, you can create these. You just chop it, and it'll put out one of these wonderful sprays next spring. Phoenix rising from the ashes, that's a bottle brush. You can see the old sticks. Let's go down now to the main Blue Mountains area. There's Blackheath and Katoomba, and going down the Great Western Highway. That was in February 2020, in buckets of rain time after the fires. You can see sprouting, and you can just see the odd epicormic clump of regrowth from the actual trunks and limbs. Ferns. I thought ferns were delicate, but they've been around for 400 million years, so they know how to cope with just about, and really, you know, when you look, this is a gullet sleeve, it's about the only thing that's green, and they're really looking, wow, here we go, this is our chance, sort of thing. And this is a series of pictures looking from, I can't remember if it was gullet sleeve or it was looking, I think it was gullet sleeve. Gradual regrowth, mostly ferns. February 2021, oh, I don't believe there was ever a fire here. Absolutely beautiful, but you can still see the effects of the fire. You can see the all the twiggy stuff, and all the green stuff coming up underneath. Anybody seen these in the wild? I mean, yeah. Okay, this is pink flannel flower, and this was at Lost City. And this was after the state mine fire. But we had another big display on Narrow Neck, just out of Katoomba actually. Absolutely beautiful flower, and you'll see it after a fire, and then you won't see it again until the next fire. It's absolutely extraordinary. It's one of Australia's foremost wildflower displays. And look at the flowers, aren't they absolutely exquisite? You know, you can, they're almost magic. And there are just millions and squillions and trillions of them. Never sort of think of waratahs in the context of fire, but this was taken in October 2023 at Gullet's Leap, and actually waratahs have a very distinct relationship to fire, and they go through regrowth and flowering and gradually go quiet. I mean, they'll live on and flower for decades, but they have this response to fire, and you can see it quite clearly there. You can still see the blackened trunks from black summer. This was in August. We were up there. This is sunshine mottle, Acacia terminalis, and this is around. Well, around Governor's Leap again, actually, on that trail that sort of winds downhill towards the lookouts. Absolutely glorious. You can't really put this in a tourist brochure and say, come to the Blue Mountains and see the wattles and flower, because this is a flower-related thing. If you come next year, they'll be taller and leggier, and they'll still flower, and then they'll gradually go quiet. But there you can see it. That's looking down across the Gross Valley, across to Mount Banks. Currawong fire. This was from a winemaker's blog, actually. Really good pictures. And you can see this is northward advance, which is really scary, quite frankly. Because, there's a cool James that's going to put the fire out. Whoops, no. This was taken by Jill Green, president of STEP. It was on Little Forest Plateau in November 2020. And that is Xantheria concava. It's another of these grass trees that has an underground trunk and flowers absolutely prolifically. And that is iris, which is three-cornered. It's a yellow flower, a little bit. It's not iris family. In fact, it's quite closely related to the grasses. And it's a particular species. It's a sort of highland, cooler climate species from further south, Xyris austulata. This is the lookout. This was in November 2021 now, and you can still see this is the Mount Bushwalker lookout on Little Forest Plateau. Anybody been here? Been there? Yeah. It's a brilliant spot. We sort of walked there in the rain, and the rain sort of cleared, and we got this beautiful view of the Clyde Valley running down through here. And you can still see the dead, fire-dead screen of trees here, and the eucalypts surging up. And I've got quite a few examples now. This is Goodenia dimorpha. Oh gosh, I've forgotten its name. Sorry, I should have written it down. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see, even on the plateau over here, it's just covered. And you can say, put this in the tourist brochures. Come and see the goodenias in flower in spring. But it's a fire event. It's a fire-related event. And of course, the buckets of rain that followed the fire were a big help. That's what the flower looks like. And you could grow it in your garden quite happily. Banksias, recovering, two species here. The one in the background is more like a normal Banksia. We don't see it up here. It's Banksia paleodosa, and it's sprouting from rootstock quite vigorously. The screen of dead Banksias in the front is Ericifolia, and I don't know whether you can see them, but it regenerates from seedlings, and there's lots of them through here. So it's totally, it doesn't sprout from rootstock. So you have two Banksias recovering from the fire in totally different ways. This is Melaleuca squarosa, which is scented paperbark, coming up big time. Most of the dead twigs are also probably of the same species. Here we are, phoenix, bottlebrush phoenix rising from the fire. And there you have it, a whole screen of dead stuff, and mountain devils and scented paperbarks rising and flowering. and you go back. It'll take a long while before you lose the effects of fire in that particular spot, but you know, it will eventually. And this is interesting because when we were coming down off Little Forest Plateau, we came to this patch. This is fan flower, Scaevola emule. If you buy a fan flower, you might buy one for your hanging basket or for your garden border. It will probably be a species of this, either that actual species or a cultivar. There's a white flowered version, it's got some white flowered name. And what struck me at the time was, you can see it's quite, you can see it's actually a forest. There are forest trees, and they're all sprouting it epicomically, but the fire has taken the canopy out. And of course, once that happens, there's a lot of light gets through to ground level, and I think this must help recovery of forest floor species. This is the one that first prize in the Chelsea Flower Show, if you can get it there. This you can still see this in the background. You can see the tree recovering. This has all been burnt. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it? That can recover the flower in that way in actually quite a short time. This is November 2021. Anybody know this plant? Okay, I've never seen it before. This was the first time we saw it. We were walking along the 12th mile, which is south of Sassafras in Morton National Park, and it was an area, it's actually a military area, and you can't go off track. We saw this. My God, what's this? It must be a weed. I've never seen anything like it before. It's Calameria amanthoides, which is a member of the daisy family. It's been around quite a long time. It's biennial, so it'll flower that year and the following year. And it's actually been cultivated in Britain as a specimen plant, if you like. And it was first described in 1805, but most people have never seen it. And probably if you go there now, it won't still be there. Right, in closing, just a few local little floral beauties. This is in Sheldon Forest, and this is following hazard reduction burn, and it's Brunaniella blue trumpet, and it's you can see all the charcoal burnt wood, and it's springing up and saying, look at me. And this is one, Lobelia dentata. You will just not see this flower until after a fire, and when they come up, you can have sort of a charred forest floor and these little blue plants coming up, boom, 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 all over the other. This one's taking thorny. This is not far from my house in Taramara. This is Hardenbergia violacea. Coral pea, purple coral pea, I guess it has trade names in the flora industry, if you try growing this in the garden, it kind of doesn't live very long. And so you go back to this spot and you won't find it like this, but it's absolutely glorious after fire. This is Voyager Point, which is down near Holsworthy. We went down there in August 2020, and literally many places you couldn't step off the track for waxleaf orchids. And we went back there 2 years later on almost exactly the same date, and couldn't find a single one. So this is a glorious post-flowering spread. And of course, this is a common beneficiary of fire. With Christmas coming, I'm showing this and saying, I'm not sure I can say Happy Christmas everybody, but there you are, there's the flower. And thank you for listening.